Okay, well, we're going to begin with our next section here of part one. And this next section is entitled Control Your Color. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. What you need to be able to do is control the colors that you're using for your objects in CG in the CG world. Okay, uh, you know, and to begin with, I mean, you've got to establish a color palette. This is crucial. You've got to uh, determine the colors uh, that you're going to use to make your models and to create your textures, and then how those colors interact with your film. Okay, well, what you've shot or what's been acquired or whatever. Um, so one of the ways you can do that from the very beginning is to use a wonderful tool called Adobe Cooler. Okay, and that's a tool that's gonna serve, okay, to help you to get sample shots from film and textures and stuff like that. Okay, so let's go over here and let's take a look at Adobe Cooler really quick. Okay, all right, so I'm over in Adobe Cooler. Okay, and as you can see here, and the URL for Adobe Cooler is going to be I'm going to provide it. I'll provide it and put it up for you later on. But it's going to be uh, cooler.adobe.com. Or if you need to find it in Google, just hey, go to Google, type in Adobe Cooler. So a cooler spelled Kuler. Okay, and you can just type in Adobe Cooler here, and it's going to bring you to this site. So more importantly, it's probably going to bring you to the Adobe Cooler page, which, as you see here, is this. Here's the Adobe Cooler, uh, uh, just the page right off the top that you're going to see if you go right to the website there. Okay, and that's the page you're going to see. And I'll scroll down a little bit so you can see the whole interface here. Okay. So you ask yourself, what is Adobe Cooler? Okay, what is this thing I'm looking at here? Well, Adobe Cooler is a, lack of a better word, a color palette generation tool. It allows you to be able to generate colors based on different parameters, and allow you to be able to save those colors in a palette or in a swatch book that can be exported out of this application and imported into a good manner of Adobe products, such as Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, so on. Okay? So it's a really handy tool for being able to help you to figure out your colors and go from there. Okay? So let's kind of look at it a little bit here. Okay? So Adobe Cooler allows you uh, like say a base color, which we have here. And actually, I'm going to go here and pick some of my theme colors really quick. I'm going to go and actually give us something that's a little bit more. Um, and I'm going to sign in here. Okay. All right. Now, and that also is one thing. If you have an Adobe password, which you're already using, if you're already using Adobe products and you have Adobe password, you would sign in to Adobe Cooler, and that's how you would get started. If you don't have Adobe password, it is going to require that you generate a Adobe presence. Okay, so that would mean an Adobe sign-in presence. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind when you go there. It is going to ask for that. But hey, most sites today, when you come in, you want to use their stuff, they're going to ask you to set that up. So that's going to be something you're going to have to do anyway. Okay, so here I'm going to go over here. I'm going to pick my Brown's complementary colors, okay? And this was a color palette derived for our feature film, Red Right 88, that we're currently in packaging now. But I just wanted to be able to produce a lot of my our promotional stuff and our packaging items. I developed this color palette so I would be able to be consistent as far as the colors I was generating, okay? So let's take a look at this real quick, okay? All right, so here we are. You know, we've dug in here. This is the Browns complementary. Okay, and I'm a little wacky with spelling there, but so these are my custom colors that I developed to work on the feature film here. Okay, and you can see some of the oranges and some of that stuff. You can see some of the oranges and some of those things right there. The greens that I used. Okay, and my primary color was kind of derived from our NFL team here, and I kind of found out what those colors were and then loaded them in, and then I asked Adobe to give me some different. I asked Adobe to give me a couple things off of it so I could derive and get these other colors. Okay, so let's kind of look at that real quick and see how this changes if I put a different color rule on it. So we're going to go up here, we're going to look at the color rule, okay? And that's just a way right now of kind of defining what colors we ask for, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to work from bottom up, and then that way you can kind of, it'll kind of be more evident to you once I hit the shades here. So I'm going to start with this as my base color, and it's telling me there by that symbol that this is my base color, which is our NFL team's orange color. And I'm going to hit shade. Now, what did I get? I got shades of this color. I got different shades. This would be darker. This would be a little darker. This would be lighter. And as you can see, they're all on the same. If you look here on the color wheel, all of those colors live in this space. They're all derivatives living in one straight line on the color wheel. Okay, so all these colors, if I plug them in, are all shades of this orange. Okay, so you're kind of getting it now. This is going to do different things, but it's also going to give you colors that you can work with. So let's go compound. Okay, so these are compound colors. These are compound colors. These are colors that as you can see where they live on the color wheel, okay, they're additives and multiplies of this base color, okay? Here is what I would consider to be the most important segment of this color wheel for filmmakers, for independent filmmakers. This is where you're going to live a lot in complementary. So what this is going to ask for is the complementary colors. And as you can see here, it's pretty close to what we originally started out with, okay? So why am I asking for, why would I say that this is kind of where you want to live if you're an independent filmmaker? Well, what this is going to give you is the complementary colors, colors across and opposite of the color wheel that are pleasing to what you have here. So say for instance, I wanted to make a robot or I wanted to make an object for Seeing Tomorrow, and I decided to do a paint job. Let's say I'm doing a it's the web series set in the near future. So let's say in the near future we have jet cars. Okay, we're going to steal a little bit from the Jetsons there, and I want my jet car. So I want our hero to drive up in this really cool burnt orange jet car. Okay, really fancy burnt orange jet car. So what this is going to tell me is that I can use this as an accent color. I could use this as an accent color. I could actually take the seats or take some trim and make it these colors, or I could deck out my character in that color. So when he jumps into the jet car, it looks good. It looks pleasing. Complementary tells you that these are complementary colors. They make this color good. Okay? So if I stay on that palette and I record these other RGB numbers for items, then my item is this is gonna look complementary. This is gonna look really good. Now that all depends on what you use as your base color. If your base color is not good, then your complementary colors aren't going to be good either. But they will be complementary. They may not be the greatest, but it'll be something you can live with. Okay, and that kind of works by diving into your RGB colors. Okay. And if you expand down here and you kind of pull it up, I hit the little twindle button here, okay, and that twindled it down. And then it gave me access to CMYK, to lab color, and to HSB. Okay, so whatever color, whatever kind of color device world you're working in, whether it's CMYK, which is particularly print work, lab, or HSB, Adobe Color allow you to be able to use the numbers in that, okay, to get what you want. So you can, whatever your device or whatever your application uses, uh, you know, Adobe Cooler can use that also to help you come up with the colors, okay? Um, and, you know, and if I actually turned around and started sliding some of these colors, you can see the wheel actually move, okay, in response. So I can kind of get a response, and it kind of will put me where I want to be based on, you know, what my base color now has become. So as my base color starts to transform, as you can see here, my complementary colors kind of go in suit. It's always going to stay complementary, and it's always going to make that line, draw that line, okay? So, you know, next we get into tripad. As you can see, tripad is exactly that. It's going to give you give you equidistant three-wheel equidistant representation on the color wheel of your colors. So whatever your base color is, it's going to draw out a triad from there and give you the colors that are immediately opposite in 3 places. Okay. You know, I'm sure there's moments where you can use it. As a filmmaker, I've never used it, but I'm sure you could. Okay. Monochromatic, once again, it speaks for itself. As you can see, kind of what you saw with shades. Here's shade, and as you can see, shade is the one color. It's basically one color on top of itself and the different tints of it. Well, monochromatic is actually going to put you in along the line of that particular color. Okay, so it's kind of like shade. It's kind of like a tint, but as you can see here, this color is actually a little closer. Okay, this color is actually a little closer towards the middle. And there's another color, if you look really closely here, you can see that there's another color behind it. So it's monochromatic is gonna put you on that wheel, but kind of, you know, not really, it's not a tint, okay? Analogous, okay, this is more of a little bit of more of a subjective thing. And as you can see there, they're equidistant from your base color, but spread out to the left and the right. So that's going to take, so you're going to have two swatches on the side here that are going to take you a little closer towards purple, 2 swatches that are going to take you a little closer towards yellow, okay? And that analysis is always going to be, and as you can see here, I'm kind of manipulating it, and it's always going to stay kind of equidistant from that whatever you designate as the primary color swatch from your base color. It's always going to, you know, show you a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right of that primary swatch. Okay, so this is kind of breaks down the color rule of Adobe Cooler, and really, this is what it's all about. This is what you're doing here inside of this piece. Now, one of the really cool things about Adobe Cooler, and I would say the thing that really makes it indispensable, okay. I'm actually going to go back to my themes here. Let me just clean this up really quick here. That's kind of bothering me. Okay, I'm going to go back to my theme here real quick, and let's just go back and reload that. So I'm going to go back and reload. It's going to pop up. I'm going to ask info. I put the little information. We'll talk about that in a second. I could copy the link to it if I wanted to share it with somebody, download it. We'll talk about that in a second, and of course delete it. But right now I just want to edit. So I'm going to go over here and edit it really quick, and I'm back to my original color swatch here. Okay, back to my original color palette. So real quick, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to actually, and this is where Cooler shines as far as a tool for filmmakers, is I'm actually going to import an image that I captured on set. So It can either be something that you photographed, or it can be something that's a screen capture from your actual acquired footage. So I'm going to go over here to the right, and it says create from image, and I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to go to my sharing video, okay, and I've got some screen grabs here, so I'm going to go to the screen grab, and I'm actually going to let's pick you know, Justine talking to our robot, okay. All right, so I've got a screen grab where, as you saw it before in the video, we're going to insert our Jerry robot, or Jezebel's robot, into this space here, okay? So here's a wonderful actress by the name of Justine Greenwald, and she plays Denise in the web series, and she's actually going to interact with our robotic character. So one of the things we wanted to be able to do is kind of develop a color palette for what's going on in this scene, okay? So this is some minor, I know this is not finished image. This is not the finished graded image. So this was a kind of a one light grade that we did, like one pass of the, of the restaurant scene. Now, what did Adobe Cooler do? It kind of went in, started, and gave us some samples. It developed a swatch for us, a color palette for us, based on sampling some of the items in the restaurant. And that's great. It gave us a head start on what we were trying to achieve anyway, okay? Which, making sure that we had some color information to work with, okay? So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to slide around some of this, though, because some of this we know we want to use, but we're not, it's not relevant information for what we're doing. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to slide this around, okay? And I'm going to kind of sample different places, okay? And I'm trying to get some of that brick wall, okay. And we've got a lot of pink here. We've got some pink that is on the tables, in the form of, I believe these are the candles that are placed on each table. So we're gonna use those as kind of like color accents and stuff like that. So I've gone in. I've kind of designated some colors here, and what I see in the image. So what I want to do is I want to turn around and I'm going to save that. I want to be able to send that over to an art director, or send that to the CG person, and then we can kind of take our metallic yellow swatch, and we're going to lay that metallic yellow swatch in there. And maybe what we'll do is go into Photoshop, lay that over the top of it, and then we'll do a little color pass, interjecting, kind of what we're going to do as a LUT on that scene, see how that yellow reacts to it, and then we'll get a better proximity of how our finished product robot's going to look at the end of our production, of our workflow here, our CG workflow and our render. So this will aid us immensely in doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this really quick, okay, and then export it out, okay. So I'm going to go up here. It actually loaded in the name of the thing, so you can feel free if you want to change that, you can. So we're going to go up here. We're going to go Justine Talks Robot, and if I have the scene number, and I believe I want to say this is going to be scene 105, okay, and underscore Justine Talks Robot, and this is going to be a color palette. Okay, so let's go color palette. Okay, and I'm just going to save that. Okay, so it's going to take me, going to save it, and it's going to give me these colors in a format. I'm going to add some information because I'm saying this is the a background color sample from restaurant. Okay. All right, a little spelling there. All right, so I'm going to go up here, kind of correct the spelling on that a little bit. Okay. This is scene 105, and this is going to be a composition of Jezebel robot. Okay. All right. Sorry for the slow typing there, guys. So I'm going to add that comment. Okay. And it just kind of gave me when that comment was made. It's going to come from MadWorks, me, it's my login name. But it also would allow someone else, if I gave them the opportunity, and as before, as you saw before, we can send that link out. Okay, so you say copy link. You see that. I could copy that link in an email to someone, send it to them, allow them to come in, and they can leave a comment too. So if you have a producer or your director or whoever, and you want them to take a look at it before you actually put it into production, you can actually send them that link. They can take a look at it, review it with the actual image, and say, hey, look, I want to, that I like that, but I want to be able to go back, okay, and change that color. I want to be able to go back and make some changes. I don't like that you sampled the pink, okay? So let's take the pink out, and you can go through that process with them, okay? Um, okay, so we're going to save changes and go back, okay? Um, and then over here, we can do things like, we've made it private, so it's a private theme. It won't be shared out to Cooler because that is something that if you make it public theme, it can be made available to other people. Okay, and there's a wonderful form where you can go on there and kind of look at other people's themes, and sometimes you can find a theme that really is cool. I know there's a lot of film themes on Cooler to help you with color grading and stuff like that. So those things are available, and you can actually make yours available by making it public. You can delete it. You can make it a favorite. So if you get, like me, you've got a lot of color samples. You want to favorite some of them so you can get immediate, quick access to it if you use it in various projects. You can copy link. We talked about that. You can edit it, which takes you back to that editing editing platform that we just left. And finally, you can download it. Okay. So one of the things here, we want to go ahead and download that. Okay. So we're going to go to download, and we're going to click download. Okay. And you can't see it, but what just happened is that we downloaded the image in what's called ASE format, which is a swatch, Adobe swatch color export. And that's going to make it available for us to import into Adobe products. Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator. I can actually take this palette now and make it part of the swatch book in there. Okay, so that's enormous. It helps along the line with your ability to be able to develop stuff. There was some question at some moment. We had a question about developing and I'll just reload that. I'll go back and I'll reload that for us for a second here. So let's actually go here. We're going to go to create, and I'm going to go create from image, and actually let's pick the second one here, her lookout. So it's a different. Okay, so there was a question here about replacing this picture with more government propaganda, and then the actual question came to not interfering with this picture because as a director, I liked the symbolism of this kind of Diego Garcia kind of picture here with Justine's final pose after she had sent the robot out to do his work. But then I thought about it, and we had some discussion with the producer about loading an image here onto this wall. Uh, so the ability for us to be able to sample and send a color palette to an artist and say, here's the colors in this room, and what we'd like you to do is do some artwork, do a poster, or do artwork that would live here and look like it was something bought from, even though at that point it's going to be a digital comp. We want it to look like it belongs in this space, and it was purchased by the owner of the place. And when he hung it, he said, "Yeah, that goes with it." So it helped immensely that this palette to was sent out to an artist. Ultimately, we didn't end up doing there. I think we actually got to the design phase in it, but the time restrictions and the budget just wouldn't allow us to go forth with the time it would take to actually track these shots. Because I've been tracking, I believe, anywhere between 17 or 18 additional shots would have went into the workflow, because there's a lot of conversation that happens over here, and that picture would have had to be tracked as an over the shoulder piece of art on two characters, okay, or actually three characters, and we just didn't have time for it. But it was something that we really thought would be awesome if we could do, and it was really cool to be able to give this palette to the artist and have the artist say, hey, look, I can sample the color here, you know, I can look up and sample the colors here, and then integrate that into my Corel. I think he was using Corel Photo Paint, and be able to use that. Um, so there you have it. Okay. So that's Adobe Cooler. Like I said, go to Adobe, check it out. Great thing for color. I'm just really quickly here going to go back to color, and we're going to finish out this segment. Um, so as I said, color palettes are exportable to Adobe products. Hues are important, okay? One of the things you have to understand is, as you can see here on the color wheel, there's going to be a point where you're going to be able to get uh, yellows on both sides of the hue spectrum, okay? So there's one green over here, and there's another green that's over here. And those two greens will probably be very similar, like, red here and red here. Um, what you want to do is make sure that you're picking the right hue, and you're consistent with your hues. And then you also know where you're going with your hues. For instance, if your character is going to live inside of a restaurant, or live inside of a building um, of any type, the color of light inside of a building is definitely, in most cases, below 5,000 Kelvin. So, and it's a warmer light. That's an oranger light. So making choices that live in that warmer spectrum, whether it be like, say, yellow here, or orange, yellow red here, um, making a greenish yellow here, are going to look more favorable because they're warmer colors. What you don't want to do is pick a hue that is opposite your lighting setup. If your lighting setup is going to be warmer light, and a warmer oranger uh, type of light, and then you go and interject a color that is closer to a colder bluish, uh, and you can see them here. This is a cold blue. This is cold. Well, this is actually warm. This is cold. Um, you want to make sure at that point that you're picking those colors that are going to work well under your lighting situations. That both your lighting and your colors are both portraying, the same thing. Cold light, cold colors. Warm light, warm colors. Okay, and it's not a hard fast rule. It just makes it look a lot better, and you don't get uh, you know lights that sap color out of your textures, and you're left with an image that's not very agreeable. Okay. Secondly, you can use Photoshop or a similar color editing program I mean, Photoshop, I think you can get it for Adobe, and by all means, I don't want to be a spokesperson for Adobe, but I think you can get Photoshop for like $19 a month or something like that, or you can just buy the whole Creative Color suite for, I believe, some places I think you get it for $29 a month or $49 a month. And there's a host of uh, color editing programs. You just want to make sure you got one that's going to be number one, to be able to handle the texture load, and B, number two, you're going to be able to understand and work fast and efficiently, and get stuff done. Okay, you don't want to spend a lot of time learning your interface. Okay, make sure you develop a palette based on what workspace you're finishing in. So, i.e., if you're working in linear, scene reference to linear, as it's appropriately called, or i.e., the right way, as most people I know call it, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, etc., etc. You want to make sure that you develop a palette based on knowing that. You want to make sure that you're developing colors that have enough range, uh, that you're going to be able to exploit that when you go linear. Um, so you want to make sure at that point that things are going to show up the way you want to show up. Okay. As we said before, you want to work with ASC, CDL, LUTs, or uh, OCIO, if possible. Okay, and that really comes down to a decision of what type of film you're making. Like I said, it goes back to your goals. Um, you would get this from the editor or the color grader or the DP. If you happen to wear all those hats and you want to define yourself by doing those things, I would see it as a good practice to do it. It's something that I always do. Is kind of develop my look early on and then pass that look on to all the people who are working on the project. They all kind of understand what the finished product is supposed to look like. And I think if you do that early on, then everybody knows what goals they're supposed to achieve, and they can very quickly do a litmus test of the work they're doing and see if it's meeting that target. Okay? All right, so this is a huge segment and a lot of stuff in it. I would really tell you, if you have to, go back and take a look at it again. If you're new to Cooler, I'd go back and look at that and just kind of play around with Cooler. Of course, set yourself up with an online presence there, um, and kind of go through it. You also can, work with Cooler in some other different platforms, if you need to. So I believe it is available for iPad, for some of you guys are on that platform. Um, by all means, there are some other programs that also that will let you generate some color swatch stuff and things like that. If you have access to those things, by all means, go ahead and use that. Cooler, because it's free, and Adobe, it works really well with the other Adobe products. It's just something that we use in house here. Okay, so that's to wrap it up for Control Your Color. Uh, hope it was informative and it helps you out. We're going to move on to the next section, and I'll see you there.